What is creativity anyway?
Creativity is using your imagination.
I think creativity is about having really good ideas.
Creativity takes courage.
Hi, everyone. Our creativity scavenger hunt took us to multiple states, city streets, and coastal towns. We found creativity in art museums, Airbnbs, and getting lost close to home. We found that if we stopped and looked and actually saw that creativity was everywhere. So this is Bodine Bakery in San Francisco. They're a San Francisco sourdough original. I think that they actually were the inventor of the sourdough bread bowl. But anyways, when you go into Bodine's, a lot of times you'll see that the bakers have gotten creative with the breads that week. And it looks like this week it was a teddy bear and their mascot, the crab. But sometimes you'll see, maybe if you go to the flagship store in San Francisco, a life-size crocodile or alligator, because there's an albino alligator at the Hall of Sciences in Golden Gate Park. It's pretty cool. So we've all seen the stickers that are touting students' academic and citizenship achievements, but I thought this was so cool when I saw this sticker on the back of someone's car, because they were focusing on the students' emotional well-being instead of their academic achievements in comparison to other kids. So every year my daughter goes to camp, and every year after camp, all her friends send each other friendship bracelets in the mail. And I just thought this was a really kind of fun representation of doing an ordinary thing in a creative way. So instead of just sending the friendship bracelet in a pink envelope or a yellow envelope, the sender actually chose to glue two envelopes together to make it two-toned. Although this is far from ordinary, I thought it was interesting because this artist took the American experience and represented it as books. And each book there's 6,000 books, and they're wrapped in a Dutch wax paper. And on each one of these spines is the name of a first or second generation immigrant.
During the snowy winters in the Northeast, we tend to see lots of snow plows destroying mailboxes accidentally. And so we tend to see mailboxes that are secured either by masking tape or big plywood boards. But sometimes you see something quite creative. No snowplow is going to mess with this mailbox. I'm not even quite sure what it is. It looks like it might be something that came from a railroad train, maybe? Anyways, it looks heavy. It's made of heavy steel. And this is one example of just thinking outside the box.
Here we have a photo of folks riding ordinary bikes in front of an old tavern. What happens when those bikes end up in the refurbished building pictured behind them? Maintaining the character of the old building, these bikes, and sometimes just their parts, are used in unique ways to add art and function to the space.
Casey, I need that stool for my kitchen.
This is the water heater closet in my laundry room. And in a small house, you need to do what you can with storage. And so this is how I corral all the office supplies and school supplies that my kids seem to conveniently run out of the day before an assignment is due.
So if you're traveling on the Connecticut shoreline, you might be tempted to go down to the beach and see some cute cottages. Sandwiched in between these cute cottages is the spaceship home. It was built in the 1980s by an architect who clearly had outside of the box thinking. It's pretty cool.
In 2018, middle and high school students in San Jose were invited to submit short poems that inspired the use of public garbage cans, protecting nature, wildlife, and our communities. 180 students were inspired to submit more than 300 poems. 10 of those poems made it to the garbage cans.
Art on walls is expected, but an unexpected way to add art to your lives is to invite your friends over and let them collaborate by painting the interior walls of your party room, like the Biltmores did in their home in the 1900s.
Many churches that we see sometimes have statues of saints or the Virgin Mary. This one was found in Connecticut, and we know that the hand gestures on these statues sometimes can mean different things. And in art, sometimes paintings and their colors of their wardrobes mean different things as well. But for many people, a statue on a church symbolizes faith. It symbolizes the dominion over the earth. And for anyone who is not religious, sometimes it brings a sense of peace. Throughout the ages and throughout different cultures around the world, we can see Christianity, the symbolism of it, has changed with different styles of crosses. For example, on the left, you see a very ornate cross, and on the right, you can see a more modern cross. Either way, they give off the same message.
Classical music is cool and alive when Beethoven invites you over for the summer.
So I got lost and made a wrong turn about a week ago, and I ended up turning around in a driveway, and there was this house in front of me, and I thought, now that's creative. Solar panels were installed vertically on the side of the home. They're usually put on the rooftop, but it looks as if perhaps this home didn't have the right roof, or there was some reason why they couldn't do it on the roof. But that's creativity, finding a different way of doing something.
So these pots are from the Ruth Azawa exhibit at the Cantor Museum at Stanford University. And the pots are actually a memorial. They are the remains of Ruth Azawa, her husband, and her deceased son. And one of her living sons actually fired these in a traditional Japanese way with the ashes of his parents and his brother. And it was Ruth Azawa's one of her last wishes that the family stay together. And so this is one way that they are able to honor that.
Shakespeare was known for his poetry and writing plays. If Shakespeare had been a bunny, he would have written about the love affair between these two cuddle buns. They have been passionately inseparable since they were young. And yes, they are both spayed and neutered. Poetry and theater allows people to express themselves, their emotions, and express parts of life that we can all relate to.
The absurdity of weeds growing over fake grass was very Shakespearean to me. It was very much ado about nothing, where you do everything you can to pretend that you're somebody else, but in the end, your true self still comes through.
An empty coffee pot is always a problem to be solved. These three friends worked together to implement a recycling program at a retreat center that didn't have one. They had been attending this family retreat for several years and realized that there were no recycling bins to be found. So they approached the leadership on the grounds to request permission to create a recycling program and place bins around the site. The facility agreed and then offered to collect and recycle for the kids. It was well received, and the teens really made a difference. Many of Mozart's musical ideas came to him with a lot of ease and fully formed in his head and didn't require extensive tinkering. But later in his life, he studied the works of Bach, and his style started to take on some of those musical attributes. Inspiration can come from anywhere. My daughter is my favorite singer. She has an ongoing composition about the emotions of the ocean, and it started with this version of Oceans Are Blue.
Oceans are blue. They make you happy when you are blue. Oceans are blue. Oh, oh, oceans are blue. Oceans are blue.
Let's hear from a creative person.
So I'm a physician scientist, so I both see patients and treat patients who have cancer with radiation therapy, and then I also do research. I have a research laboratory that's developing a blood test for cancer detection and monitoring. The project that we've been working on for over a decade, we're trying to develop a blood test for detection of cancer, but we're taking, sort of a non-traditional approach to it. For many decades, people have been using protein-based markers. So basically proteins that are shed from tumors into the blood. They try to, identify those proteins and measure them. The problem with that is that many of these proteins are also found in healthy individuals and are released often from healthy cells in non-cancer conditions. So it becomes difficult to sort of find proteins that are specific enough for things like early detection. So we've been looking at DNA-based markers. So basically little fragments of DNA that are shed from tumors into the bloodstream, and we are basically looking for tumor-specific signatures. Growing up, I always liked tinkering with things, opening up radios and, sort of learning how things worked. I was also very much into building model airplanes. And so, you might not think of that as traditional creativity in terms of, art, and I'm not very good at art, but, or performing arts or any of that. But that it's sort of a different type of creativity, I think, and requires, I would say, creative elements in, problem solving, in kind of thinking about how things work. Yeah, you should talk to my wife. Because she gets quite annoyed when I'm, kind of daydreaming. So. I think we've all had friends or family members affected by cancer, right? For me, it was my aunt who raised me from a young age, and so she was like basically a second mom to me, and she died from breast cancer at age 60. There are, definitely creative elements to what I'm working on, and I think, as is the case for, architects and engineers, and, there's so many different, areas which maybe aren't traditionally thought of as creative, but, are definitely require elements of creativity.